Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today is a beautiful, bright day, but the drama we are about to unpack is as dark and twisted as it gets. We have some absolute bombshells to discuss regarding the latest happenings in Genoa City, so grab your coffee, get comfortable, and let's dive right into this absolute madness. So I just need to take a deep breath before we even start talking about this because my head is still spinning from what we just watched. Patty Williams is back. Yes, you heard me right. Patty Williams is officially back in Genoa City. And honestly, I don't even know where to begin with this because just a massive, chaotic, beautiful disaster of a storyline. I have been covering this show for a really long time, and sometimes I feel like I've seen it all, but then the writers just throw a curveball so wild that I am sitting here staring at my screen with my mouth open. Patty is back. Just let that sink in for a second. The woman who has caused more chaos, more heartbreak, and more sheer terror for the Abbott family than almost anyone else is just casually walking back into town and settling in like she just went on a long vacation. And the thing is, Stacey Hajduk is an absolute powerhouse. Let's just be real for a second. Whenever Stacey Hajduk is on screen, you cannot look away. She plays that unhinged, deeply damaged, but somehow still sympathetic villain so perfectly. She recently did an interview with Soaps.com, and I was reading through it frantically this morning while trying to process the latest episodes. In the interview, she dropped some massive hints. She basically said that Patty's goals this time around are not just about winning back Jack Abbott's heart, which, okay, hold on. What else could she possibly want? Because historically, Jack has been her entire universe. Her obsession with Jack is legendary. It's the stuff of soap opera history. So if she's not just back to stalk Jack and try to force him into a twisted happily ever after, what is the end game here? Is she looking for revenge on Victor? Is she trying to take over something at Jabot? Or maybe she just wants to completely destroy Diane Abbott's life for good? I mean, the possibilities are endless and terrifying. But let's back up. Let's back way, way up to how we even got here. Because the setup for this return is so incredibly convoluted and messy and classic Y&R that I almost have to laugh. A few episodes ago, we had this whole insane plot where Victor Newman decided once again that the best way to handle his problems was to commit a major felony. Victor literally kidnapped Jack. He kidnapped him and held him hostage on a yacht right in the middle of Lake Michigan. Just a casual billionaire kidnapping. Which, by the way, how many times is Victor going to get away with this kind of stuff? The fans on social media have been losing their minds over this. Everyone is like, really another kidnapping. But you know what? It's Victor. He does what he wants. But the wildest part of this entire yacht situation wasn't even Victor holding Jack against his will. No, the wildest part was that Patty Williams was somehow on that boat. How just? How? How does a woman with Patty's history, a known fugitive, a known unstable person, just sneak onto a heavily guarded yacht owned by Victor Newman? Did Victor invite her? Did Victor orchestrate this whole thing just to mess with Jack's personal life? I wouldn't put it past him. Victor hates Jack, and Victor hates Diane. So teaming up with Patty, or at least turning a blind eye to her, sneaking aboard, is perfectly in his wheelhouse. Or maybe Patty just snuck on wearing one of her classic disguises. Remember Mary Jane Benson, she's the queen of slipping into places she doesn't belong. Regardless of how she got there, she was there. And she didn't just hide in the shadows. She made her move. And this is where the story gets really dark and really messy. Patty managed to seduce Jack, but let's not sugarcoat this because the show made it pretty clear that there were drugs involved. Of course there were drugs involved because there is absolutely no universe where a sober, clear-headed Jack Abbott looks at Patty Williams right now and says, yes, let's jump into bed. He's been kidnapped, he's terrified, he's exhausted, and suddenly Patty is there playing the savior or playing the seductress, and she clearly drugged him. She manipulated the situation entirely. It's a classic Patty move. She creates a scenario where Jack is helpless, and then she inserts herself as the only person who can comfort him. It's twisted, it's deeply, deeply toxic. But it worked. She got him into bed. So picture this. Jack is out of his mind, drugged, vulnerable, basically a hostage on a floating prison in the middle of a freezing lake. Patty is living out her twisted fantasy. And then the absolute worst possible thing happens. Diane Abbott walks in, Diane, Jack's wife, who has presumably been tearing the world apart trying to find her missing husband, finally tracks him down to this yacht. She opens the door, probably expecting to find Jack tied to a chair or something, and instead she finds him and Patty almost completely naked in bed together. I mean, guys, Just imagine the shock. Imagine the absolute horror on Diane's face. The lighting in that scene, the way the camera zoomed in on Diane's sheer panic and betrayal. It was soap opera gold. But it was also heartbreaking because Diane has worked so hard to rebuild her life with Jack. They have fought the entire town. They have fought their own families. They have fought Phyllis. They have fought everyone to be together. And in one single second, Diane sees all of that crashing down. She sees her husband in bed with his crazy ex-wife, and the image of them almost naked. That's not something you can just unsee. That burns into your brain. And this is where I start getting a little conflicted. Because Diane's reaction was immediate and explosive, as soon as they all got back to Genoa City, as soon as they were off that nightmare boat, Diane packed her bags. She didn't stay to talk it out. She didn't wait for the drugs to fully wear off so Jack could explain. She just packed up her stuff and moved straight out of the Abbott mansion. And part of me is like, yes, Diane, know your worth. Walk away from the mess, because who wouldn't be traumatized by that? But then another part of me is screaming at the screen, come on, Diane. You know Patty. You know what she is capable of. You know Victor kidnapped him. Why are you letting them win? Maybe I'm being too harsh. I mean, catching your husband in bed with someone else is the ultimate betrayal. But Diane isn't stupid. She knows Jack wouldn't do this willingly. Or does she? Maybe that's the seed of doubt that Patty wanted to plant. Maybe Patty knew Diane would walk in. Oh my gosh, what if Patty timed the whole thing perfectly? What if she tipped Diane off? That would be brilliant. Evil, but brilliant. And now Diane has just handed Jack over on a silver platter. By moving out of the mansion, she has left Jack completely alone, isolated, and vulnerable, which is exactly what Patty wants, because right now Patty is just living her best life. The notes say she is done, own, dern, quirk song, which basically means she is settling in, getting comfortable, acting like she belongs there. Can you imagine Patty just strolling through Chancellor Park, going to Crimson Lights, and ordering a latte like she didn't just drug and assault a man on a yacht? It's infuriating, but it's so compelling. She is undung, just completely unbothered, enjoying her life and getting ready to conquer Jack's heart all over again. She thinks she has won. She thinks that because Diane is gone, Jack is just going to fall into her arms, and they are going to live happily ever after. But Jack, poor, poor Jack. I honestly feel so bad for him right now. The man cannot catch a break. He tries to be a good CEO, he tries to be a good husband, and he just gets battered from every side. He was kidnapped by his oldest rival. He was drugged and violated by his unstable ex-wife. And now the woman he loves, the woman he defended against the whole world, has abandoned him when he needs her the most. Jack has to be in a very dark place right now. I wouldn't be surprised if we see him spiral. And when Jack Abbott spirals, he tends to make very bad decisions. He might start drinking again. He might start pushing his family away. And if he does that, Patty will be right there waiting in the wings, ready to catch him. And let's talk about the rest of the town. What is Ashley going to say when she finds out what is Trossie going to do? Trossie is the heart of the Abbott family, and she has always tried to see the good in people, but even Trossie knows that Patty is dangerous. If Patty starts hanging around the mansion trying to play house with a broken Jack, the Abbott sisters are going to go to war, and I am here for it. I want to see Ashley rip Patty to shreds. But at the same time, Patty is cunning. If her goals really are bigger than just Jack, like Stacey Heiduck hinted at in that soaps.com interview, then maybe the Abbotts aren't her only target. What if she goes after Newman Enterprises? No, that's too crazy even for her. But what if she has some dirt on Victor from their time on the yacht? What if she recorded something? What if she has leverage? The idea of Patty Williams blackmailing Victor Newman is just so funny and so terrifying that I kind of want it to happen. Victor thinks he can control everyone, but nobody controls Patty. She is a wild card. She is chaos personified. Honestly, the fans on Twitter and Facebook are completely divided right now. Half the people are screaming that the writers are recycling old plots. Oh, great, another kidnapping, another drugging, been there, done that. And yeah, I get it. It feels a bit repetitive. We have seen people drugged into bed before. But the other half of the fans, and I think I fall into this camp today, are just thrilled to have Stacey Heiduck back on our screens. She elevates every single scene she is in. The sheer unpredictability of her character makes the show feel dangerous again. For a while there, Genoa City was getting a little too quiet, a little too focused on corporate boardroom meetings and boring contract negotiations. We needed a shakeup. We needed some messy, soapy drama, and boy, did they deliver. But I keep going back to Diane. I really do. I keep second-guessing my feelings about her. Okay, that sounded dramatic, but you get what I mean. I've never been the biggest Diane fan. I know she has her supporters, but she has done some terrible things in the past. However, her redemption arc recently has been pretty solid. She really seemed to love Jack, so for her to just pack up and leave, it feels a little out of character for the new and improved Diane. Unless, of course, she has a plan. What if Diane isn't just running away? What if she moved out to regroup? What if she is planning to take Patty down from the outside? If Diane teams up with Phyllis, oh my gosh, imagine a Diane and Phyllis team up to destroy Patty Williams. The internet would literally break. The sheer amount of hair pulling and screaming would be legendary. So crazy. I'm just typing this all out and realizing how many different ways this could go. It's a complete mess, but it's the kind of mess that makes you want to tune in tomorrow. You know, you sit there and you complain about the writing, you complain about the logic gaps, like seriously, the security on that yacht must have been non-existent, but you still set your DVR because you have to know what happens next. Will Jack try to win Diane back? He has to write. He has to go to wherever she is staying, probably the athletic club, because where else does anyone go in this town when they leave their spouse and beg her to listen to reason? He has to explain about the drugs. He has to make her understand that Patty orchestrated the whole thing, but will Diane even listen? She is so proud and she is so hurt. And Patty is just going to keep circling. She is going to keep showing up at Jack's office, showing up at his house, acting like the innocent victim. And oh, I can already hear the delusional, sweet, terrifying tone in her voice. And what were the writers thinking with this timing? We are heading right into a major sweeps period, and they just dropped a nuclear bomb on the show's most stable couple. It's brilliant, honestly. It's frustrating, it's clunky in places. The transition from the boardroom to a hostage yacht was a bit jarring, but it worked. It got everyone talking. I'm honestly a bit tired just thinking about it. Following these storylines is like running a marathon. You think you've reached the finish line with Jack and Diane getting married and being happy, and then suddenly you're thrown back into the mud with Patty Williams and Victor Newman's machinations. But I still care. I care about Jack. I want him to be happy. I want him to have peace, but clearly the universe and the head writer has other plans for him. So let's keep our eyes peeled. Next week is going to be crucial. We need to see what Patty's next move is. We need to see if Stacey Hyduck's hints about other goals start coming to light. Is she going to target someone else? Is she going to try and get a job at Jabot? Can you imagine Patty in the Jabot lab mixing chemicals? Absolutely not. That is a disaster waiting to happen. But whatever she does, it's going to be entertaining. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Are you Team Diane walking away? Are you Team Jack needing to fight? Or are you just here for the absolute chaos that Patty Williams brings to the table? Because let's be real, chaos is what soaps are all about.